Thanks for coming to Politics and Life. This is Jordan. I hope you guys are having an amazing morning. So, we are reacting part two to the Don Lemon and Elon Musk interview. I am going to skip the beginning because it talks about the drug use, which we already talked about. He doesn't do drugs. He tried to got him on a gotcha. And then he talked about Donald Trump endorsing him, which we all know was another trying to get you moment. I want to start off where they start talking about the great replacement theory. And then I'm going to kind of just pause it every like 5 to 10 minutes after a new subject gets brought up. Please like, comment, subscribe. We're on the road to 80 subscribers. Let's get the video started.
Can we talk about the great replacement theory now? Some of the things that you post, the great replacement theory, you claim that Democrats, President Biden's immigration plan to open up the border, you said that the president is getting, and Democrats are doing it to get more votes. But undocumented immigrants cannot vote in federal elections. So how is that possible?
Right. Well, you're conflating two things. One is great replacement theory. The other is, which I don't subscribe to that. I'm simply saying that there is an incentive here. If legal immigrants, which I think have a very strong bias to, at least everything I've read, it's a very strong bias to vote Democrat. The more that come into the country, the more they're likely to vote in that direction. But it is, in my view, a simple incentive to increase voters, Democrat voters. And yeah, so the question is like how? So there's a few ways that this works. One is that when the census is done, the census is based on all people in an area, whether they are citizens or not. So if there are a concentration of people who came here illegally in a particular state or in a particular state, that state will actually then get an increased number of House seats. So the House seat apportionment is proportionate to the number of people, not the number of citizens. So the illegals overwhelmingly go to places like California and New York, and if you just look at the math, if you look at the apportionment with and without illegals, I believe California would lose. I believe the blue state, there would be a net loss of blue states of approximately 20 seats in the House. This also applies to the Electoral College. So you say, like, well, this also applies to electing the president, because the electoral votes are also done by apportionment the same way that House seats are done.
But the reason, Elon, the Electoral College is in place is to balance that, is so that doesn't happen. So what you're saying about it is the exact opposite of the reason why the Electoral College.
Look, I've already explained this multiple times in the past. Don Lemon tries to do these gotcha moments, but he just comes off as more dumb. Great replacement theory, he will say, is a racist Jewish conspiracy. It's racist against Jews. It has nothing to do with Jews. What it has to do with is the government around these countries are openly flooding our borders with these people. A lot of them may be good, but a lot of them are bad. We can see them killing Americans, raping little kids, kidnapping kids around the country. I see daily pictures and videos exposing this. So he's just playing dumb. He's trying to do the gotcha moment. But the problem with Elon, he's a genius, so he knows all the facts. I'm telling you, he's from the future. That's what I honestly believe.
The Electoral College at this point, in our history, gives people who are in smaller states and red states much more of an influence over our elections than people who are in blue states, and the majority of the people.
So he said that the Electoral College gives more power to red states, which are smaller than blue states. Sure, that might be true, but if you see what's happening right now, there's a mass exodus from these Democrat liberal states because it's just not sustainable with what's happening right now. We got record taxes. We're getting taxed out the ass on everything. And on top of that, we have to worry about the homeless and immigration crisis at the same time while we're paying extremely higher prices for everything we spend our money on. So that's just untrue.
In this country, that's what the Electoral College does. It actually does the exact opposite of what you're saying. It protects people who are in smaller states and protects people who are in red states.
Well,
the red states, because they tend to be smaller and less populous.
I think that statement is what you said is true, but what I said is also true, which is that if as is the case, a disproportionate number of legal immigrants go to blue states, they amplify the effect of a blue state vote. And the math, as I understand it, you can research this obviously very easily on there. It's like it's pretty straightforward to research this.
He
But
won't
my
though.
understanding is that there would be that the Democrats would lose approximately 20 seats in the House if illegals were not counted in the census, and that's also 20 less electoral votes for president. So the illegals absolutely do affect the who controls the House and who controls the presidency. It does not affect the Senate.
In blue states you're talking about. I
Yes.
don't believe that your information on that is right. So listen, let's talk more about the Great Replacement, because the first time that you posted on X about this Jewish conspiracy, you ended up
I
apologizing.
didn't call it a conspiracy.
Again, it has nothing to do with Jewish people. It's really simple. You flood the borders with illegals, they replace the Americans. We can see it happening all around the country. Also, they're giving these illegals thousands upon thousands of jobs at these new warehouse type industries, and they're firing all the Americans. They're also giving them PTO. They're giving them court dates, miss work. They're also giving them insurance benefit, all these benefits. And they haven't even started the job yet. This is insane. So, as usual, Don Lemon is lying.
That there's a simple matter of incentives. You don't need a conspiracy when you have basic incentives. In my view, there's a basic incentive that is fundamental that for the Democrat Party to foster and usher in a large number of illegals. Yeah. And you don't need a conspiracy in that case, because you have a very basic incentive. You could say I'm wrong about that incentive, but that's my view. I'm not buying into. I didn't buying some great replacement theory. I'm simply saying there appears to be a very clear incentive for Democrats to maximize the number of illegals because it helps them win elections.
I'm talking about the Great Replacement theory is also part of a Jewish conspiracy theory. And when you did the tweet, or you responded to the tweet about that, you ended up apologizing, and which I think is, it's good that you ended up apologizing. You went to Auschwitz with Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
Right? So you said you learned your lesson. What did you learn?
I said I learned my lesson.
You said you learned your lesson when you apologized, and you said you went to Auschwitz. You saw what.
No, I was already aware of these things, and the nature of my comment that really inflamed people. What I was trying to say, and I did very quickly clarify. This is what I'm saying: is that a number of prominent Jewish philanthropists fund groups that they should really take a closer look at funding, because some of the groups they fund, I think, are anti-Semitic.
Yeah. Do you understand the connection between the two? There's a connection between, you said Democrats, the Great Replacement theory, but when it comes to the actual Great Replacement theory, originally it was started about Jewish people, as you said, flooding in the country, and then now people are using it for Democrats.
I don't think I've ever heard a single person refer to the Great Replacement theory and Jewish people being a part of that. That is a made up term that he just made up. Never heard anyone say that. And I've heard a lot of people talk about the Great Replacement theory.
Saying the same thing about Democrats. Flooding.
In my view, it's a simple matter of incentives.
Yeah.
I actually don't see an incentive for Jewish people to want to have get legal immigration. I don't think there is such an incentive.
The Great Replacement theory is a neo-Nazi trope. It's in the neo-Nazi manifesto. It's in the Turner Diaries. It's referenced by the Buffalo mass shooter in his manifesto, where 10 people, Black people, were murdered in Buffalo. There's the actual title of the Christchurch shooters manifesto. 51 people. And
so right now he's going to try to blame Elon Musk for these mass shooters because they mentioned in some type of writing in the past that they created about the Great Replacement theory. So because Elon Musk has said specifically, I can see what's happening right in front of my eyes, we're being replaced. Now he's a he's a racist conspiracy theorist that is pushing and promoting these people to commit mass murders. That's just not far from the truth.
The Muslim mosque were murdered. 23 people murdered in El Paso by a shooter who used the same language that you use in that manifesto when you say Hispanic invasion. Is that not?
I didn't say Hispanic invasion.
And you quoted a tweet that called it a Hispanic invasion.
If I quote something, it doesn't mean I agree with everything in it. It's just something that I think this is something worth people should consider.
Why would you quote something that you didn't believe?
Because anything I quote is going to have a whole range of statements. Doesn't mean I agree with everything in it.
Do you think if you moderated yourself more, if there was better content moderation on the platform, that you wouldn't have to answer these questions from reporters about the great replacement theory as it relates
I
to
don't have to
Democrats,
answer these
the
questions.
great replacement theory as it relates to Jewish people? Do you think that
I don't have to answer questions from reporters. Don, the only reason I'm doing this interview is because you're on the X platform and you asked for it. Otherwise, I would not do interview with this.
He's your boss,
so
bro.
you don't think do you think that you wouldn't get in trouble, or you wouldn't be criticized for these things?
I'm
or that
criticized
there was,
constantly. I could care less.
you don't care?
No, I don't
Why
care.
not?
I don't think people should care what the media thinks about them. They're terrible judges of character.
Even someone who has one of the biggest
Triggered.
social media and biggest information
You
platforms.
can tell when he said that Elon's view is you should never trust what the media thinks about you, and you could tell right when he said that he was triggered and he was trying not to say something. I feel like Don wanted to say something else, but yeah, he got him there. I love that moment.
Platforms in the world, you don't care, you don't think that you have any X.com, or you have any responsibility to the truth or moderating the platform?
You're conflating the truth with the media, and I think the media is not truthful.
Well, not with just the media. I mean, just the truth in general.
I care about the truth very much. That's why we have, for example, community notes on the X system, where in order for a community note to surface and provide corrective information about what somebody posts, and my posts are equally subject to this. I've been community noted many times. In order for a community note to surface, people who have historically disagreed must agree in order for a community note to surface. And all of the code for community notes is open source. All of the data is open source, so you can completely recreate it from scratch. The way to build trust is transparency.
I have noticed community notes. I think that you are right about that, and I do think community notes are helpful. I think any type of content moderation, I do think that's helpful. You recently called content moderation, though, a digital chastity belt. Do you think that you believe that X and you have some responsibility to moderate hate speech on the platform?
I think we have a responsibility to adhere to the law, and we have a responsibility to be transparent about when things are shown, why they're shown. That's why we open source our algorithm. I think once you start going beyond the law, now you're putting your thumb on the scale. And we don't want to put our thumb on the scale.
It doesn't concern you that hate speech has gone. Research shows that it's gone up on the platform since you took over. That's not concerning to you?
I believe that is false. In fact, the research that I've seen says it went down.
The study from the Institute of Strategic Dialogue found that anti-Semitic tweets doubled from June 22 to February 2023. One study reported that as many as 86% of the posts reported for hateful content remained up after being reported. Hate speech on the platform is up.
This is ironic because if you remember, these type of people are for free speech when it benefits them, but when they disagree with something and they call it hate speech, which is usually everything they call hate speech, they'll want you to block it. But then they'll come out and say, yeah, I'm for free speech, but you should block this. You should ban this. It's ridiculous. Hypocrisy at its finest.
So what they will typically do is they will count the number of posts, but not count the number of views. So what matters is, was that post given high visibility, or what did like one person see it? And if you look at the number of views of how many times was hate content viewed on our platform, it is down substantially.
Yeah. Well, that's not was what the study shows. And you said you like transparency. I'm going to show you this, and
Don, you can get a study that will tell you whatever you want.
But these are just a handful of extremely. You look at those anti-Semitic and racist tropes and tweets, and as of this morning, they're still on X. And
I see much worse stuff than this on other platforms. So if this is the worst, what you're talking about, that's so extreme, it's really not that bad. If you don't like what you see, scroll through it, block it, or don't look at it. It's really that simple. God, these people are such crybabies.
From your own content policy, these posts should have been deleted. So why haven't they been deleted? Why are they still there? Did you?
We delete things if they are illegal.
But these have been up there for a while.
Are they illegal?
They're not illegal, but they're hateful, and they can lead to violence. As I just read to you, the shooters, in all of these mass shootings, attributed social media.
Last time I'm pausing it for a while. I'm sorry, he gets me in my nerves. Ugh. So if anyone encourages violence of any type, it's the left media. If you can see just one show, Joy-Ann Reid, she's on MSNBC. She pushes white hate and all types of hate 24/7 on that show. if there is let's say a white police officer that accidentally hurts a black person or anyone, they will say they're white supremacist without even waiting for any of the facts, waiting for any of the video. They will already say this is a white supremacist. So what will that do? That will push, it will get people of color mad, angry, and then they'll also push for the streets, and then they'll say that, oh, there should be riots, which we also know that the left doesn't call out when it's violent at all. They actually said when are protests supposed to be peaceful. I believe that was actually Don Lemon that said that. So as usual, they say that the content's promoting hate and violence, which is never proven true, while we see on the other hand the left-wing media pushes this anti white hate race crap all day every day. It's ridiculous, and he's part of that.
To radicalizing.
So Don, you love censorship, is what you're saying.
No, I don't love censorship.
Then why are you asking?
I believe in moderation, but I don't believe in
censorship. Moderation is a propaganda word for censorship.
But don't you think free speech is one thing, right? Or not,
Look, if something's illegal, we're going to take it down. If it's not illegal, then we're putting our thumb on the scale and we're being censors.
You're putting your thumb on the scale for moderating hate speech. I mean, you don't put out child pornography. That's not.
It's illegal.
Some people would say that's considered censorship. I'm just saying you.
No, I literally, Don, I literally said if something is legal, okay, we will obviously remove it.
Okay.
But if it is not legal, the laws in this country are put forward by the citizens. We're a democracy. If those laws are put in place by the people, we adhere to those laws.
Okay, I agree.
The laws of others. If you go beyond the law, you're actually going beyond the will of the people.
Okay, agreed with the law. But if you are doing something that promotes hate and violence and ultimately leads to killing, you don't feel you have any responsibility not to do that? When the people who are doing it admittedly are saying
there's articles all the time that lead to violence and killing. Don't they? Shouldn't they? Like you're applying a differential standard to.
But that would never be in mainstream media. These types of images, that type of language, those things would never be. We'd never, when I was in mainstream media, we'd never promote things that would be anti-Semitic. We would never promote.
That's a lie. As I said, just go on MSNBC just for one day and watch a full day's worth of episodes, and you will see all this stuff right here. And actually, I think it's a lot worse than what you see on X, to be honest.
I don't either.
Did you not see those?
You said promote. If content is on the platform, that doesn't mean we promote it.
But that wouldn't be on a platform for mainstream media at all.
No, but you can think of that. That's because the mainstream media has like whatever 20 articles a day. We have 500 million posts today.
Okay,
500
understood.
million.
Does it bother you? How do you feel about that when you see it?
I obviously disagree with that. I think it's not good at all. It's terrible.
But you don't want to get rid of it on the platform, or at least moderate it.
The rules. What you're suggesting is censorship that goes beyond the law. And what I'm saying is, that we, I guess, have a disagreement, because I do not believe in censorship that goes beyond the law, and you do. We have a difference of opinion in that regard.
I understand that, but these are your own rules on your own platform. These go against the rules on your platform. That's why I'm asking you. If you said, listen, we allow everything, but that's not what your content rules say, and that's why I'm asking you, why are they still there? Your own content policy. That's why I'm asking you that, not because.
Which part of our content policy says that we should delete these things?
Your content policy talks about hate speech.
Yes, we don't promote hate speech.
And so you don't consider that hate speech?
I guess you're not understanding what I'm saying. There's if there's you can find you can sign up right now and do 100 things that are hateful.
Yeah, what Elon's getting at is you can go to any probably social network, excluding X right now, and find any type of post that you would consider, maybe triggers you, makes you a little bit upset, and then you can say, oh, it's hate speech. That's literally what Don does every day. If he doesn't agree with something, it's hate speech. Hate speech, in my opinion, is threatening to kill someone, or maybe messaging someone privately and saying, I don't like what you're posting, I'm going to find you and do this and this and this to you or your family. That is hate speech. Hate speech is not posting a picture of what you think's going on during a war right now that you don't disagree with. Like, come on, this is ridiculous.
But if nobody reads it, it doesn't matter. So you can think of X as being, it's much like the internet. It's not some tiny publication with like 20 articles a day. It's
I
500
understand that.
million.
But everyone has the opportunity to read it, Elon. It's not
And
that-
everyone
you
has
don't
the
know who's
opportunity to
gonna
read the internet. Are you suggesting we should shut down the internet?
No, but you don't own the internet. I'm asking you about you and your responsibility and your platform. And so I see how you feel now. You don't agree. We don't agree on this.
Yes, you want censorship and I don't.
No, I don't want censorship at all.
Yes, you do.
No, I
Yes,
want
you do.
responsibility. I think
No,
I think
you want people that you disagree with, their posts, to be censored. That is exactly what you're saying. Elon Musk is spot on.
there.
You desperately want censorship.
No, if I want a
You
censorship,
want censorship so bad you can taste it.
no, that's not true. It's not true. I think that there's right and wrong. And I think that
you want censorship.
and I think that when you have a platform that's as big as yours and as powerful as yours and as influential as yours, and you are a person of consequence to the world with what you do, that there is a certain responsibility that goes along with what you have on your platform and what you put out to the world. And I think that's important. You don't.
If we recall, this is the same guy that said that if you don't wear a mask, you should be forced to stay inside or lose your job. If you don't get the vaccine, you should be pretty much excluded from any activities outside. This guy was for that, forcing all of this. So he wants to talk about that. He's just a hypocrite.
Don't see that responsibility.
I think we have a responsibility to adhere to the law, and if people want the law changed, they should talk to their elected representative and get the law changed, and then we will adhere to the law.
Okay.
But if you want us to go beyond the law, that is us deciding to be censors.
So
And I'm against censorship. I'm in favor of freedom of speech.
Yeah.
And freedom of speech only is relevant when people you don't like say things you don't like. Otherwise, it has no meaning.
but I do think that there should be guardrails, and I believe in free speech as much as you. I would
Very
fight. I don't disagree. I don't agree with a lot of what you put out on social media, but I will fight for your right to be able to say it.
He literally just said, I want you to erase speech that I don't agree with, but then I'm going to fight my best to keep free speech. That makes no sense. He just contradicted himself there.
Okay,
He
so
self-owned
listen, let's
himself.
talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. All right, that's been a target of yours lately on X. There was a repost of Ben Shapiro that you claim that DEI is killing people. Specifically, you point to medicine. You claim that DEI programs are putting people at risk. Do you really believe this to be true? And what evidence do you have to support it?
What I was referring to there was that if we lower the standards for doctors, such so that they, if the test for a doctor is lowered, then the probability of them making a mistake and killing someone is obviously going to be higher.
Wait, say that again. I'm not sure I understand what you said. I want to make sure I understand what you're saying.
Yes, if the standards for passing medical exams and becoming a doctor, or especially something like a surgeon, if the standards are lowered, then the probability that the surgeon will make a mistake is higher. They're making mistakes in their exam. They may make mistakes with people, and that may result in people dying.
What evidence do you have, though, that they're lowering the standards? There's no evidence of that.
I believe there is.
There's no evidence of that. Elon.
I want to speak on that because Elon doesn't bring it up, even though he makes a good point. What about the school system? Right now, we are lowering standards around the country, and including in the school system, and we are receiving record low scores in regards to reading, math, and writing. Kids are failing all across the country because they are being dumbed down. They are lowering the standards, so it was making kids a lot dumber. That is fact. You cannot deny fact. Also, when it comes to all these programs, what they do is they hire only based off of race. So if you're only hiring based off of race and not how good you are at the job, obviously problems are going to occur long term. That's just common sense.
What is the evidence?
That's DEI.
I believe they have literally lowered the standards at Duke University, and that is what the article was referring to.
There's no evidence.
Saying they have not lowered the standards?
There's no evidence about lowering standards, and I think that there is.
Believe that is a false statement you're making.
Okay, well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
I think
the interesting thing is when this is posted on the X platform, there will be a whole bunch of things that rebut what you said and what I said,
Correct.
And so people can then make their own decision based on the replies, the rebuttals, and the community notes.
I think that's fair, but I do think that on this particular topic, I do think that you and Ben Shapiro are reaching in about this, because there was what Ben posted said that he gave instances of people who were deliberately harming people. Nowhere in the thread does Ben suggest at all, I should say, that anyone is being killed as a result of DEI. That's purely speculative. There's research on DEI and medicine, and there's no evidence that standards are being lowered,
Okay.
that DEI is affecting medicine. Actually, like
Okay,
only 5% of doctors
Yeah.
are Black, and a small percent.
Yeah. Well, I think you'll find that
minorities.
when this is posted to the X platform, that people will reply to it with evidence.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see.
Okay. So, but that's my whole thing about moderation. Maybe you're wrong, but you'll put it out there. You don't know if it's right. Do you think that your responsibility?
No, what people will do in the comment sections is they will cite exact examples of numbers that are produced of before DEI and after DEI on what these children in other companies are decreasing when it comes to value and issues that are occurring in their companies. That's exactly what's happening when you hire only based off of race and not incentive and how good of a worker they are.
To make sure something is right before you, the person who owns it, Elon Musk, who's a huge figure in the world, that you should know that it's true, that there are people at X who can get research for you before you put something out there like that. That's not necessarily true, even in other examples.
If I say something that is inaccurate, I'm immediately corrected on the platform. That's the advantage of a real-time system like X. So there will be immediately in the replies, people correcting me. There'll be a community note that will correct me, which is attached to the actual post itself.
Do you think as many people read
Yes.
You think as many people read that as it reads your tweet?
Yes, in fact, and if there's a community note that happens later where somebody didn't see, but they replied to that or interacted with that post, we will notify them that there is now a community note correcting that post.
Mm-hmm. Just so you.
Whereas if you consider the conventional media, that doesn't happen. Conventional media makes false statements all the time and nobody ever hears the correction.
When I was in conventional media, I can only speak for myself. If I got something wrong, or if someone got something wrong on the platform that I was on, it was corrected.
Oh, you mean just like how you said masks work and it prevents you know what? Did you backtrack that statement? Or how about if you get the COVID shot that you won't get COVID? Did you backtrack that statement? Or how about forced vaccines or forcing people to get fired if they don't cooperate with the government? Did you retract that statement? I don't think you retract any statements because you have a continuing pattern in your history of being a journalist, of being wrong on almost every subject.
We made sure that it was corrected.
No, you didn't.
I can't speak for anyone else.
I don't think that's a universal situation.
Okay. So I just the research. So when you talk, do you believe that people are dying because medical standards, DEI is causing medical standards to be lowered? Do you actually believe people are dying because of that?
I believe that if we lower the standards for what it takes to become a doctor.
You're saying if we lower the standards, yes. But do you believe people are dying because the standards are being lowered?
He never said that.
I don't think that
lowered.
Is yes an issue, but it could become an issue.
Okay. But the actual evidence in history shows the exact opposite. If you look at how minorities are treated by the medical system.
What?
Most doctors now are white.
What does that have to do with anything? He is the only one saying, oh, okay, so since most doctors are white, we should bring DEI. What does that have to do with hiring the best person for the job? He's kind of just almost owning himself in every single argument he's trying to put against Elon Musk. It's ridiculous.
And there are lots of mistakes in medicine. So you're saying that my doctors have bad medical care? I'm trying to understand your logic here when it comes to DEI, because there's no actual evidence of what you're saying.
No, I said, so if the standards, like let's say, I think that particular thing was referring to surgeons. Let's say a surgeon is asked to, a surgeon in training is asked to do a series of operations under the supervision of a senior surgeon, and they get a bunch of those operations wrong. If that happens, and yet they are still approved to be a surgeon, the probability that someone will die, I think, at some point is high.
Okay, I understand that, but that's a hypothetical. That doesn't mean it's happening.
I didn't say it's happening.
You didn't say it was happening.
I said it will. But I said if we lower standards, people will die.
But why respond to something or put something out there that has not happened, Because I could say,
Because I don't want it to happen. I think we don't want to lower standards.
okay, if you look at the history of the medical industry, especially when it comes to Black Americans, it shows the exact opposite. If you look at the Tuskegee experiment and on, only 5% of doctors are in America are Black. All of them are white. So are you saying that if the majority of doctors are white, are you saying that and there are still these inequities, right? And there's still mistakes. Are you blaming DEI for that?
No, I'm very basically saying that if we lower standards for what it takes to become a board certified surgeon or an oncologist or something where the kind of disease we're talking about, if you make a mistake causes someone to die, then more people will die than if we don't lower the standards. Therefore, we should not lower the standards.
But why do you think they're lowering the standards for minority doctors or women doctors? Or
that's what that's what that article suggested. Yes, at Duke University.
Okay, the evidence that I have shows that that's not true.
Okay.
So listen, after the door blew off this mid-flight missile,
That's how he rebutes himself every single time. The evidence doesn't show that, and all these stories or what is it called? Studies that he shows, I guarantee are all Washington Post, New York Post, MSNBC, all fake.
Alaskan Airlines flight. Do you remember that? You responded to a post claiming that the average HBCU grad was less intelligent than the average airline pilot, and stated that it will take an airplane crashing and killing hundreds of people for them to change this crazy policy of DIE. I don't know if did you misspell it on purpose, which it should be DEI. Do you believe that women and minority pilots are inherently less intelligent and less skilled than white male pilots?
No, I'm just saying that we should not lower the standards for them.
Okay. But there's no evidence that standards are being lowered when it comes to the airline industry.
You've repeatedly said that there's no evidence that standards are being lowered, and watch the replies showing all the evidence that it is.
Replies, though, on social media or on Twitter are not necessarily fact and evidence.
No,
that's people's opinion.
They will cite all the
We'll
in the replies to this. You will see how often the information is cited, showing that indeed there are significant cases where standards are lowered.
And I do hope that happens. I do hope that happens, and I look forward to it. And as you said, if you're wrong, then you're wrong, and if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm glad we're having this conversation, debate. This is what we should be doing, debating the issue. So if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong, and then they'll be proven in the thing, and you as well. But I just want to tell you that pilot that you talked about, in fact, was a woman pilot, landed the plane safely despite the major malfunction with the equipment. Boeing has taken responsibility for that incident, saying that it was caused by a faulty door panel. So I'm not sure what that had to do with lowering the standards for pilots when it was a faulty.
No, it's not lowering standards for pilots. It's the incentive structure. I believe at Boeing changed to include DEI as a fundamental executive incentive. But in my view, it should be purely about passenger safety.
Okay, but do you understand how by saying just that standards are being lowered, that you're implying that they're being lowered because people are less skilled and less intelligent, and you're talking about people of color and or women?
Look, I'm saying we should not lower standards.
But you don't?
That's it.
I think everyone can agree that you shouldn't lower standards.
Great.
But you're implying that they're lowering standards because of people of color or women, because someone is not a white male. You're saying that they're less skilled and less intelligent. That's
no.
I'm simply saying that they are.
Oh, this is so hard to watch. No, he is not saying if someone of color gets a job, they're less capable of doing it. What he is saying, it's not hard to get, is across the country with all these industries, when it refers to schooling, probably automobile, flying, we are seeing these issues happen because they are lowering the standards. No one even said anything about race. You're the only one bringing up race here, Dom.
Then why would they be lowering the standards?
I don't know. Why are they lowering the standards?
Just so you know, 5% of pilots are female, 4% are Black. So you're talking about this widespread takeover of minorities and women when that's not actually true.
I'm not saying there's a widespread takeover.
Well, you're saying that the standards are being lowered because of certain people. And you don't believe in DEI, right? Do you not believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion?
I think we should be treat people according to their skills and their integrity, and that's it.
Do you know that studies show?
Studies show.
Yeah, well, we can look them up. So your reaction to studies show, and I understand, right? Because I always like to point to an exact study, right?
Sure.
Something that is factual. It's the same thing when you talk about, well, let's see what the replies are on Twitter or on X.
Yeah, so
So I feel the same. I feel the same way about that. But this is what studies have shown, and people will reply.
But the difference is, he's already saying that people are going to be lying in the comments, even if they provide an exact picture graph. Sorry about that. Picture, graph, numbers, and the actual company showing the numbers of where they've either been benefiting or not benefiting since this DEI cult has taken over the industry.
The companies with more diversity and their leadership teams have reported higher innovation rates than those with lower diversity or low diversity, and they're better companies and they make more money. This whole idea about DEI, if you go woke or whatever, you go broke, that's not necessarily true. People with diverse leadership teams and diverse workers make more money and more innovative.
Like I said, my view is that the only basis for promoting somebody should be.
So Don Lemon's argument is there's proof and studies out there that these companies that are lowering the standards and hiring people based off only color, not based off how good they are at the job, are actually profiting and booming. How does that make any sense?
Their skills, talents, and their integrity, and that's it.
I want to ask you about there's a federal government EEOC. They are also currently involved in a lawsuit against Tesla that alleges that there's a history of widespread racial harassment against Black Tesla employees, as well as a pattern of retaliation for speaking out. What do you say to that?
There's I don't believe that is true. I think we've got a very good like if you walk around the Tesla Fremont plant, I think it's a very good atmosphere. In fact, I practically lived there for 3 years trying to make the production work.
Were you aware, if you lived there, were you aware of such behavior?
I never saw it.
So you're saying that this is not true, it's not happening?
Well, I mean, there's over 20,000 people. So you say, like, if there's over 20,000 people in one building, well, is everyone going to behave publicly? No. Did I see any situations that I thought were improper? I did not.
Let's talk about trans rights and the woke mind virus, because you talk about that a lot. You're right about that a lot on the thing. You have been deeply outspoken about the issue of trans rights. You posted trans rights. You posted that pronouns and bio mean the woke mind virus ate your brain. Do you know what the term woke actually means?
It's come to mean a lot of things.
But what originally it was meant to mean. It's just being aware of inequities in society and being aware of facts and history.
Yeah, I think it's come to be. I think being aware of inequities in society is fine, of course, but trying to blame everything on trying to make everything a race issue is, I think, divisive and corrosive to society.
Even as it relates to trans issues, which is what I'm.
Yeah, race or gender or whatever.
You think that society blames everything on racism now?
It blames a lot of things on it, and yeah.
You think that's unfair?
Yeah.
Why?
I think we should not make this a constant subject. I think we need to move on. I think we just treat people like people.
You don't agree that this country was founded on racism and founded on slavery and in many ways inequities that still continue on to this day?
I think every country at that time, and I think even today, was extremely racist. Every country, and obviously.
Real quick, I want to tell you guys what my definition of woke is: that you're an idiot, and that you are not able to critically think for yourself. You watch mainstream media, and you are so lost and gone that you don't have the capability of maybe going on X, going on YouTube, going on other sites where you can find independent news to know you're being played. Also, you guys know how I feel about the transgender movement. I think it has turned into a cult and that they should never push this on children. Never.
Slavery was present in about half this country, and no, but was not present in the North. There was racism for sure, but you know, I think we want to look to the future rather than the past, and instead of engaging in constant rehashing of the past, because in fact, if you look at history, if you study history broadly, everyone was a slave. Everyone.
Yes. Well, not everyone was a slave.
No,
but,
everyone was a slave.
Okay, but
we are all descended from slaves.
Yeah.
Well, all of us.
Yeah.
So it's just a question of when. Was it more recent or less recent? That's it.
Right.
So but what future do we want? Is this something we want to make part of our constant dialogue forever, or do we want to say, like, let's just move on and treat everyone, according to just who they are as an individual?
I agree with you with that. That's the ideal. But what the evidence shows is that that's not what's actually in practice.
I think we're doing better than anywhere else.
That's true. I agree with that. But that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean a lot to a whole lot of people.
He's going to say that there's a lot of black people dying as usual. But the thing is, and it's going to probably trigger some people, but if I recall, all day, every day, all I'm seeing on Twitter is white people getting attacked. And sadly, it is mostly by black people. I love black people. Some of my best friends are black people. But you got to call a spade a spade. You can't just ignore your lying eyes. I love black people. I love Mexicans. I love all people. But there's one type of people that are killing people. That doesn't make them all bad. It just means that that's what I'm seeing. I'm telling you guys what I'm seeing. So hate it or leave it, but that's what I'm seeing. And he's trying to act like it's the opposite. And he's going to probably say there's white right-wing extremists that are doing all this damage, and we all know that is a lie.
You are able to take advantage of the opportunities that you were able to take advantage of simply because the color of your skin.
What advantages did my color of my skin give me?
Well, there's an ease that you have in society that many people of color don't. You were able to come to this country voluntarily. There are many people who were not able to come to the country voluntarily. There are people who came here as slaves.
For me to come here.
And there is a legacy of slavery that still continues on. There's a legacy of racism that still continues on in this country.
Yeah, you're right. And it's by these tyranny countries that the Democrats and the CIA have gone into their countries with these psyops and installed these shadow governments, which ends up being a cabal or a tyrannical government. Don't you see what's happening in Venezuela or Haiti recently? The Clintons were in charge of Haiti. Look how that's turned out. They screw up these countries. So when it comes to freedom and rights, we definitely have the most freedom and rights compared to any country in the world's history. That's just a fact. So for him to be pushing this race card constantly, this is what the left does. They try to divide. They try to get you to be scared, because if we can't think clearly and be happy, then we'll never unify. That's what it comes down to.
And that's undeniable.
Well, if we keep talking about it nonstop, it will never go away. If we keep making that the central thing, it will never go away.
Why do you believe that?
I think I'm just making a simple statement of fact. So I think we want to get away from making everything a race or a gender or whatever issue, and just treat people like individuals.
Do you have any desire to understand what many people of color and even trans people, how they feel about this country and how they're treated in this country?
These people are nut jobs. Sorry, but it's true. I see videos every day as well. I'm going to say it again, where these trans people are starting confrontations with everyone, basically because you look like a dude, you sound like a dude, I'm going to call you a dude. And so what they'll do is they'll force themselves in your face. And if, let's say, you're working at your company, they will literally go in and snitch on you because you called them the wrong pronoun or the wrong gender. This trans cult has gotten out of control. It needs to stop. And they're grooming the kids at young ages, giving them these drugs that they would typically give to pedophiles. A lot of people don't know that are trying to transition their kids. They give that stuff that they're giving the kids, transition them to pedophiles. It's crazy.
They say and they believe that they are treated a certain way in this country. Why don't you believe them?
You cannot have a situation where someone is a self-described victim, and they just get to be that because that's how they feel.
I think that does happen in some cases, but not all cases. And I think that not understanding the history of the country, I think, is a real shame. Look,
We should understand the history of the country and other countries.
I've had incredible opportunities as a person of color,
Right.
but I've also
You're doing very well.
but I've also been discriminated against, and I know that I have, and I know that that's real.
And guess what? You've also called half the country Nazis and racists. So, I mean, if you're going to try to play this little race card where people hate on you because of the color of your skin, you do the exact same thing, you clown.
And for someone to say that that isn't happening, I should just move forward and not think about that and ignore the past is insulting.
I'm not saying it. Don, you keep putting words in my mouth. I'm not saying it's
I didn't say that you said
I'm
it.
saying that we as a country should move beyond the questions of race and gender, and we should treat people like individuals and base our opinions on them on the, their character and their skills.
I don't think that anyone will disagree with that.
Exactly.
All I'm saying is that that's not happening and is not equal for everyone.
If anything, transgender people are getting treated a lot better. Do you see all this crap happening in schools throughout the country? They are getting favorable treatment. They're putting these books, these porn books that they're giving these kids like right in the middle of libraries outside schools. I'm a delivery driver, so I see this like firsthand. Any school I deliver to in the state of California right now, especially in Davis, because I'm a delivery driver, they will literally have in all of their libraries all this transgender garbage right when you walk into it. Also, most of these principals, when you walk into the principal's office, so there's a library on the other side, principal's office, they will have these rainbow flags, no American flags, mind you. They will have the transgender flags. So these trans people are actually provided a lot more resources than normal kids are these days. So that's just a lie.
Opportunities don't happen for everyone. And I am a living example that they don't. I know that they don't because I live it.
You've been incredibly successful.
Yeah, so because he, sorry, I keep on pausing it, just so cringe. So because he doesn't have a job right now, I'm guessing now because he's black, he's not welcome to the same type of opportunities that Elon Musk is. By the way, Elon Musk is from Africa. He's black.
Of it all, but I know what I know. I've experienced what I've experienced. You haven't done that. And I cannot, I don't know what it's like to be from South Africa. I don't know what it's like to be a white man. I don't know what it's like to be a woman. I don't know what it's like to be a Latino person. I don't know that. So I wouldn't speak for them and just say, you need to move on. That's not for me to say.
No, what he's saying is we should not continue to bring up the past when it comes to slavery and use that to divide and start hate with the people, which is exactly what he's doing. He's only bringing up his race and using his personal experiences in the past and saying that pretty much all people, because of his probably one experience, all people are dealing with this one. That's just not true.
I believe that it would be great if the country could live up to that ideal. You think that everyone has the same opportunities in America, regardless of their background and ethnicity. Do you agree?
No, I don't think everyone has the same opportunities.
Okay. So when you talk about, let's talk about trans rights. When you decided to talk about the trans rights movement, you said that it was a woke mind virus. Why do you believe the trans rights movement is a woke mind virus? What do you mean by woke mind virus?
They don't live in reality.
Woke mind virus is when you stop caring about people's skills and their integrity, and you start focusing instead on gender and race and other things that are different from that. I think the woke mind virus is fundamentally racist, fundamentally sexist, and fundamentally evil.
Okay.
And we've got a little bit more time, so
Yeah.
you choose your question.
Okay. So, okay. Thank you for that. But I would appreciate you answering these. I think it's important that we're doing this. I think it's important to the world to hear this, especially what's going on in our country. The reason I ask you, listen, there are a whole lot of things that people maybe have questions about when it comes to transgender people. Even people who are part of the LGBTQ plus community have questions about that. But if you are a free speech absolutist, right? And that is part of the First Amendment. Also, the freedom of expression falls under that First Amendment as well. So why can't people choose to identify with the gender that they feel comfortable with, or with use a pronoun? Isn't that part of freedom of expression?
He never said you can't do that. What he said is it shouldn't be pushed onto the masses. They're forcing their views and opinions on others. You can have your own opinions and views, but don't force it on me. That is all he is saying. And also, you shouldn't be pushing this stuff on kids. That's what I have a problem with.
I guess though that they can ask others to do whatever they feel. They can ask others to do anything. It's a different question whether they mandate that others do that thing.
Okay. Let's talk more about free speech and for advertisers, right?
All right, guys, there's about 5 minutes left. He talks about the advertisers. It's not really that much informative, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. As you guys know, I cannot stand Don Lemon or CNN or these leftist hacks, and I believe that Elon Musk exposed them. Thanks for coming to Politics and Life. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great day.